Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video, I'm making this cute little tag that you can use in your planner or in a gift. So if you want to see how I made it, then just keep watching. So to start off with this little project, we're going to need a piece of cardstock. I'm just using this one, this white one from Kmart. It doesn't really matter what color you use because we're going to cover most of it up. But you are going to need for the sentiment, it's really hard to get that out. For the sentiment, you are going to need white or a lighter color to get the watercolor effect. So white seems like the safest option. So the first thing we need to do is cut out the actual shape of our tag. Now I'm horrible with cutting tags. I always make these look wrong. So I've actually pre-done one for myself. I will show you how I cut it, but I have sort of done it so I can trace it. I find that's the easiest way for me to get the best result. So I'm going to grab a pencil, if I can pick it up instead of the straw, and just marking. It doesn't really matter if I don't get it perfect because I can always rub it out / cover it up with washi tape anyway. And then I'm just getting my paper trimmer in, that way. So just lining that up. Can obviously cut more than one tag out of this bit of cardboard if you want. We are going to use the rest of it for the other parts of the project, so it's not going to get wasted by any stretch of the imagination. And then for the corners, I'm using the paper trimmer again. You don't need to. You can use scissors if you want. You can use a smaller trimmer. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I just want to make it as even as I can, and I'm hoping that I do that with this. They always look uneven to me, always. So I kind of don't trust my own line of sight with these. Yeah, it's not quite. Not quite. There we go, that's not too bad. Doesn't have to be perfect, I just don't like it to look really off, which is what it did a second ago. Okay, so there's our little taggy shape. The next part we're going to do is the washi tape across the top. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and picked out 4 bluish kind of shades, and I just don't want them to be too overpowering. So I've got a plain one, this one's from Kmart, we've got a stripy one, this one's from Kmart, we've got a dotty one, that one's from Kaisercraft, and this is one of my Daiso ones that I got sent from Daiso Singapore. So all we're going to do is just put these down in a pattern along the tag, same way I kind of did the Simply Gilded washi decoration week a couple of weeks ago. I'll link that down below. But the idea is just to get the pattern sort of going along. So just to keep it from being too overpowering, I've sort of go the plain one first and then the spots. And I'm just bumping them up against each other so there's no white in the middle. And then I use the blue with the silver that down a little bit because there's just the start of the pattern right at the front there. So I just don't want to use that bit if I can avoid it. And then we'll do the watercolory kind of one, and then we're going to repeat them. You probably only get one bit of the silver stripy one, and you probably only get one bit of the sort of cloudy looking one. But that means that it looks that little bit more special, which is kind of cool. So you don't have to use these 4 exact washi tapes, just any kind of color combo that you think looks really cool. If you want to use brights instead of blues, or you want to use greens or purples, like any color combo will look cool. It's just a sort of whatever you like, and you guys know I like blues, so it kind of felt right for me. And you got to take it off the table, which is probably the hardest part. So I just find that just pull the washi tape up, but just be careful obviously when you get to the cardboard bit. And then we just need to cut off the excess. Now this comes down to personal preference. You can use your trimmer or you can use scissors. I'm going to use scissors this time just because the cardboard actually gives you a really nice sort of template to cut around. And neither of my trimmers at the moment are particularly making me happy. My Fiskars one, I'm still waiting on new blades. They should be here. They should be here today. They won't be too far away. And my little Fiskars one, I need to change the blades on that one too because it's fluffies everywhere. I just can't be bothered. I think I've got the blades in here somewhere. So I'm just cutting around the outside, just making sure I don't cut the cardboard. And then just making a bit of a washi collection on my hand. If you do hold on to it, there is a bit in a minute that kind of helps to have some washi tape, so if you don't throw it away, you'll sort of save yourself having to use a bit more. Okay, so that's what it looks like once it is finished. It doesn't quite look straight. This looks really bad, but I don't think you don't really notice it. So I'm gonna leave it exactly like that. I really like it. I think it looks super cute. So that is the tag. That's the basis of the whole thing. So the next thing we're gonna do is actually do our little seals. So for that, I'm gonna save this bit and use that for the sentiment at the bottom. So use this bit of cardboard here. I'm gonna grab in my stamp block and the actual stamps that these are. So these are the Lawn Fawn sealed with a kiss little stamps. They do have a matching die set, which I have somewhere, which, oh, there it is, which is here. This has also got another one on it as well, but the little matching die set's down the bottom. So this is what we're gonna use for the actual sort of seals. So what I'm gonna do is actually, I'm just gonna grab this one that's the sideways one. I'm gonna put a couple of them on the page, and that way when I watercolor them in, I have a choice between which ones I wanna use. So I'm just going to get that all inked up. I'm going to do probably 4, and then we can paint them one by one and kind of get, like, pick which one we like the best to actually die cut. Oh, that one's not it. Doing it a couple of times just removes that kind of fear of mucking it up. And if you can do more than one, why not? Okay, so we got our little seals. We'll wipe our stamp off. Just make sure you also wipe off the block, because we're going to use that as a bit of a blending tool in a second. So we'll take that off. One thing I will say I adore about the Lawn Fawn stamps is how sticky they are. Like I don't know how many times I've used these seals off camera, but they still feel just as sticky, like, to put onto my acrylic block as the day I bought them. So I love that about them. It's fantastic. Okay, so then we're going to get a paintbrush and some Tombow. So I'm going to grab all my grey ones for the seal. So I'm going to have a grey seal. You can have any coloured seal you like, but I'm going to have a grey seal. So I'm going to put the ink onto the block. I know you can't see the greys very well, but oops, doesn't really matter. We're going to mix them all together anyway. And then we're just grabbing a little bit of water. I'm just going to put a little bit more of that dark grey over there. I'm just going to mix that together, which is going to give our little watercolour. Yeah. And then it's just a matter of sort of painting this in. So this is a Kmart paintbrush, so it's not particularly fancy or special or anything like that. It's just cheap paintbrush. You can use any kind of paintbrush you like, so it's not going to be the paintbrush that gets you the effect we want. It's just going to be playing around with it until you get the sort of shading that you like. And what I've kind of come to love about watercolors is that you can shade with them if you think about where you're putting the color. So that's just the first wash. And that's just that, it's just a wash. And then the idea is that you go in with a little bit more of maybe the dark one, or a little bit more with the water. And then you kind of just put your shade where you want it, and it will kind of shade up. Okay. You just sort of have to think about where the shadows would be. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because we've got 3 or 4 seals, so we can do another one and see if that likes. See, I don't like that at the moment. This one's kind of spilling across the line. Sometimes it does that, sometimes it doesn't. It's just a matter of playing with it, I guess. So there's the first one, which I'm not too happy with. So I'm going to have a shot at one of the other ones. And it's just trial and error until you get one that you like. want mine to have a bit of a watercolor effect, so I like this one at the moment. Just going to blast him with my heat gun just quickly. I was saying to Ryan before, like when I was speeding through that I don't like this cardboard as much as, I don't know, whatever cardboard I must have used before. It does have a bit of a bleed to it, but then this one actually hasn't, so perhaps I've just gone with too much water. This one's actually turned out really nicely, so I really like him, so we're going to use him. The other thing we're going to do very quickly before we move on is we're going to grab the little moi sentiment that's here, just like a little speech bubble. I'm just going to wipe that off. I'm just going to stamp out a couple of these as well, because I want to die cut this while we're going with the others. And then we're going to die cut these. So I'm grabbing my DIY cuts from Kay the Craft, so I've got that here. I've also got all of my I think they're called shims. I think that's what I've heard people call them. I don't actually know what they're called, but things to cut these with. And then we're going to grab the dies that match. So grabbing the little moi, and this is where that little bit of washi tape that we saved is going to come in handy. So the really cool thing, or really good thing with dies, is that you can actually stick them so they stay, like the cut actually stays where you want it to. So I always just stick it down with some washi, just so that it stays right, and even then that didn't stay right. When I'm using dies, I always sort of have a look from every angle and just check that that's exactly where I want it to be. I'm actually going to double stick this one, so I've got plenty of washi, just to make sure it's exactly where I want, because I prefer not to have to cut them out again. And then we'll grab our seal, and then the same thing, we just need to stick it down where we want it. And then just to make it go through the machine a little bit easier, I'm just going to cut this bit off. Okay. So then we're going to run this through. I'm going to do it as a sandwich. So I've got the first cutter, plastic, I have no idea what they're called. So I've got the base plate, cutting plate B, one of the metal ones, which I get told all the time I do use wrong, but oh well. And then I've also got an adapter plate at the top. I don't think it matters necessarily. Hold on, that's not right. I know that's not right. That needs to go under that. I don't think it necessarily matters which way you use this as long as it cuts. That's my opinion. So I'm just telling you so that you guys know what like the order I used them in, but whatever works. Okay, so I'm just going to roll this one through. I always like that sound because it means that I've actually put metal on metal. And I always go through a couple of times just to make sure I've cut it. It's easier to do this than it is to try and cut it out with the knife afterwards. And then I always check that we've gone through, which we have, so good. So that was easy enough. So then you just need to pop these out. The washi will have kept them in a little bit. You might have a little bit of washi left over. So we'll just take that off. We'll get the little moi. Here we go. So there's our little seal bit. So now all we need to do is the sentiment, and then we can start putting this all together. I do have a bit of blue stuck on the side there. So grabbing that last bit, or the cardboard that we used before, I'm going to do the whole bit because there's not that much of it. It sort of makes more sense to just do the whole bit, and then I can pick which one I like. So then I'm going to grab in a piece of plastic. This is actually just a bit of a Kiki K bag that I've rescued or borrowed out of my bin. I'm actually going to make that just a little bit smaller, just so that it fits on the bag. I'm also just grabbing a piece of scrap paper just to be able to keep my desk protected just a little bit. So I'm grabbing my 3 tombos. So just before I keep going, the tombos that I used to colour in the seal were N55, N95 and N75. And then the 3 colours I'm going to use for this blue wash is 535, 515 and 491. So all I'm doing here is just putting these down completely and utterly randomly. There is no rhyme or reason to why I'm putting them where I'm putting them. It's just to put the colour down. It doesn't matter if you blend them together just a little bit. Then you're going to grab some water. Just give that a spray. Now this next bit's up to you. You can do this or you can not do it. If you want to grab your paintbrush and just give it just a little bit of a wash around, just so that it does blend in together. And then we're going to put this bit of cardboard down and just squish it. And that's going to transfer the water to the cardboard, obviously. It's going to also cover a lot to your fingers, so just have some tissues handy. I just like to wipe off the excess so then it's easier to pick up. It means also that you can recycle the paper, the plastic, sorry. You can use it for something else. You can always then turn it over and just check if that's blue enough, not blue enough. If you want to put more water in different places, I want it to look just like that. That's perfect. I'm going to use my drying tool again just to speed this process up a little bit. Okay, so here's a hint. Don't keep your finger on it. So that piece of scrap paper can go in the bin. So then we're going to grab this back in. I want the sentiment to be down the bottom here, and I'm going to have it as the flag. So I'm going to grab this with a kiss bit first. Get rid of the moi. And that way I can put that exactly where I want it, and then we can put the sealed bit on. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick this down just to try and avoid the curl a little bit. I just would prefer it not to be curling while I'm trying to stamp on it. So I really like the bottom here. I think that colour worked really nicely. So I'm going to put that as the sort of main bit I'm using. Obviously you only get one shot at this part, so I'm being a bit extra careful. That's fine. And then we're going to put the seal down. There is also an exclamation point with this kit, which I think is very cute, but I'm not going to use it this time, because the sealed with a kiss exclamation point would look really cute at the end. So I'm just lining that up. And again, only getting one shot at this, so just making sure I do it right. I love that sealed. It's just pretty. That good clean. And then the last thing we just need to do is cut this into a tag shape. So I'm going to hold on to that washi because I'm going to need it. I'm just getting my Fiskars one in. I'm just going to do this by sight, sort of for how big I need it to be. I'm going to stick this down though so it doesn't move. Nope, that's not going to be where I need it. There we go. I need to come up just a little bit. This is where the washi tape helps, because it'll help you keep this really skinny bit of cardboard sort of still. And you give that a bit of a haircut because of the fluffies. I will cut it with the trimmer just so it's straight. My fingers are blue. All I can see behind there is that the fingers are blue. It doesn't look straight. Okay, this isn't straight, and it's only going to bug me enough to bug me enough. So I'm just debating if I'm going to try and fix it or not. Straighter, but still not straight. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm being anal retentive because you guys know that's what I do. And I'm just going to cut this into a little flag at the bottom. I'm not very good at cutting things into flags either. Oh well. So then it's time to assemble it. This is actually really easy. So first thing I'm going to do is grab my hole punch, because I just want to put a hole in here at the top. Just trying to find as close to the middle as I can. That's not quite there, but it'll do. So for the sealed with a kiss sentiment at the bottom, we're going to put that, actually a lot of this is going to be put together with foam tape. So this is just Express It tape from Officeworks. So I'm just going to put that down first. And it's going to sit just off to the side here a little bit. Not quite as much as I had it. I've just accidentally put that a little bit too far down. So thankfully I can pull that up and move that over. There we go. Because I want it to sit off a little. I bent that, but yeah, there we go. There we go. And then we're going to put our seal up as well. But the moi bit isn't going to be up. I've got the little seal. He's just going to sit there. And then the little sentiment bit is just going to sit up here like this. And it's up to you whether you want to do this with glue tape or run it through a sticker maker. It's whatever you're more comfortable with. Just because I can, I'm just going to use glue tape. But then I'm just going to rub my finger around the edge just to get off any dots that haven't quite, or sitting on the edge. I don't want them coming through. I'm just going to stick him there. And then the last thing we're going to do is just put some ribbon on this. So this is just Kaiser Craft ribbon, or ribbon that I bought from Kaiser Craft. I don't know if it's actually owned by them. No, it's got Kaiser Craft written on it. So just going to cut off how much I need. Just a really simple kind of hook. I don't know what these knots are called. Ryan, do you know what these knots are called? No, no idea. Whatever this one is. I want to call it the loop, swoop and pull, but that's not it. Okay, so just pull that. Just be gentle when you're pulling it on the cardboard. Actually, I want it to go the other way. Just be gentle again when you're pulling the cardboard, just because you don't want to tear it. And then you just have to cut it. You can also then go over with some matches or a lighter just to sort of sear them off, but you don't have to. I actually kind of like the way eventually that'll peel. And then we have it. We have our cute little sealed with a kiss. I think I maybe made this a little bit too blue. I might have gone just a little hard on the blue, but it still looks really cool, and my fingers look really cool matching it. And it's just a little extra thing to add to a gift. Like if you're giving a present and it's just got a normal, like maybe brown paper or white paper or some really simple kind of wrapping paper to it, this is just a really cool way to finish it. It's just a nice little thing to make, and you could easily turn this into a card, like use the same techniques to turn it into a card, or even to use as little die cuts in your planner page. So there's so many possibilities with die cuts and these cute little stamp sets that kind of intermatch. So I want to say a gigantic thanks to Trish at Hobby Hoppers, who reminded me that I needed to do this video for you guys, because I mentioned it a little while ago. I do love these tiny little seals. I have used them for many cards off camera, but I hadn't got around to putting it on camera yet. So thank you very much, Trish, for reminding me that I needed to do that for you guys. Let me know down below if you want to see more little projects like this, like little tags and things. You don't have to use them for gifts, you can use them in your planner. I've got one that sits in the front pocket that I made with the Planners Anonymous in Bloom kit. And I just adore them. I just think they're cute. They're just nice things to have. So let me know if you'd like to see more projects like this. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you again for listening while my voice isn't quite right. It's nearly better, I swear, nearly there. And I have some really awesome videos coming up for you next week, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of those. Other than that, guys, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic weekend, and I will see you for decoration on Sunday. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!